Hi, I'm Brian Horner with the Etnyre International Company, and we're going to go over brand new touchscreen distributors. So in this first video, what we'd like to point out is just a generic video that shows all the different functions of this. As we go through the rest of the videos, we'll break them apart into individual functions. But as an overview, we're at the rear control box, and if you have the power on in the cab, and then we turn the power on here at the rear, you will see it brings up the Etnyre logo. And at the bottom, what you want to notice is when it fires up here, you'll see a computer and a display version number. Those are very crucial to the programming that's in the computer and in the displays. Once it boots up, it brings you to this normal load screen. So the load screen, the function of the distributor is to load, and we only can do that in manual. But let's just back up and we'll start by pointing out everything we've got here. So in the top left here we have an operation mode. If you touch that, it will bring up all the different operation selections that are available for the unit. It will time itself out and it'll disappear, or you can tap it again and it'll go away. In the center, you have your pump speed, and we're in the load position, so you can increase your asphalt pump either by using the slider to increase or decrease, or by using the plus and minus icons to be able to go back and forth. Okay, up in the far left, we have an arrow which will take you back, which we're already back. You'll have a gear symbol, which is our settings. So if you touch that, that will bring up all the different functions we can get into for setup, display, network, factory, diagnostics, help, on and on. We'll set up videos for each and every one of these as we go throughout our series. The next icon is for lights. Looks like two headlights up there. That will bring us into the lights that are on this unit, either beacons or strobes or work lights, top and bottom. Night lights for the controls in the cab, and if it was equipped with a tank level. So this just brings up our lighting screen. Also, these units are always equipped with a couple extra ports that are behind this panel for access lights. You can enable that, and you could put other lights on here and hook into our wires. One of the cool things about this, if you don't like how they're labeled, like if you want to put your own light in, if you touch that, it will bring up this screen, and then you're able to name that lighting that you put in whatever you want it to be. And then you can either enter once you've done that, or cancel and it goes back out. So there's all our lights, and we'll go through another video on how to do all that. Then you'll have your temperature, which is in a belly probe in the tank. So that's telling us the inside temperature of the product, which is 75 degrees Fahrenheit at this time. The gallons will tell us how many gallons are in our tank. So if you would increase the tank float, it will show you a different level of gallons right on your screen. And this is done in the cab and in the rear. So remember, anything that you see at the back that we're filming today is also mirrored on the display in the cab. So as you're operating it, you would see the number of gallons that are still left. Always comes up with the actual time and the date, and then the center Etnyre icon is simply, that will take you back to the beginning. So if we happen to be on our light screen and we hit Etnyre, it always takes us back to the home screen. There are other icons that pop up here for different things, like this is a bar latch symbol. So right now my bar is latched, so it shows me that it's latched, and there's other icons that are there. Then over here on the right hand side, you have your burner control. We'll do another video specifically on burner operation, but if you touch this, it brings up our burner controls where we can set our temperature, our time, and if we want to light the upper and the lower burner. Then down below you have your start for your pump. So if we want to make our pump start, we would simply hit that, and with the truck running, it would then run the pump at whatever speed you wanted here. Okay, and then your pump control is auto or manual, and you only can run in manual and load. But if we would go to a different function, say circulate and tank, then we can control the pump in auto and all your presets show up. Okay. There's also other pages to this. So this is your page numbers 1, 2, and 3. If I hit page 2, it will be, and I'm going to go back to load just for simplicity. If you go to page 2, all it popped up was your wash pump. So that's the diesel pump that we can use. So either turn it off or on. Or in the cab, we have what we call taper switches, which we'll explain later. You can set the timing, whether you want the taper switches to run with a click or a hold. If I go to page 3, it really only changed one thing, and that brought up our log totals for when we're spraying. So if you turn those on, you can keep track of how many gallons that you actually used, how many square yards you shot, and how many feet that you traveled. Also, you would be able to put a USB drive into the side of this box. When we get to that, we'll show you that. And then you could download those to a USB for all your totals. So that's the basic overview of what the screens look like. You can change back and forth to any of the pages at any time. If we want to, can we scan over to this? We got this. So these are the only switches that are in the rear control box. These are for your wings up and down. This happens to be a bifold, so it has 4 switches. The little joystick here is to raise your bar, lower your bar, or shift your bar to the right or the left. Same thing as in the cab. And then the yellow button in the center, if you push that, it will unlatch your bar, and you notice the icon disappeared when I unlatched. When I go back to latching it, the icon reappeared. And then of course we have your emergency stop or your power button that's located on the rear box. So if anything happens and you want to kill the power, you just push that in a panic mode and it shuts everything off. Also back here, there is a breaker at the very top. So our power comes from the battery back to the rear box. So it'll go through the breaker and then the emergency stop and then to the cab. So if you never get power on your screens, one thing to always check is to make sure that breaker is not tripped. So that's just a general overview of the actual controls themselves. So we're going to move on to a different video and start explaining this in more detail. But thank you and have a good day.